Okay, who here hasn't been to space? Why? You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2,
Yesterday. So Tobey Maguire, looks like we've got some news here. Tobey Maguire has come out and talked about him possibly returning to the MCU and what that could look like, and but just talking about him possibly returning to the MCU. Obviously, these are things that these stars know. Like I've mentioned plenty of times before, you're smoking dick if you think that Robert Downey Jr. has not been in contact with Marvel, or Marvel rather been in contact with Robert Downey Jr. for his return to the MCU. You're smoking dick if you don't think that they've talked to Chris Evans. You're smoking the same dick if you don't think that they've talked to some of these others, because we've heard that Scarlett Johansson doesn't want to come back as Black Widow. That's what we've heard so far, and again, we've talked about that before, but that's what we've heard from credible insiders and scoopers. But again, the idea that Marvel has not reached out to any of these people to return for Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty or things like that, that's wildly crazy to think. And Tobey Maguire falls in the list of those actors and actresses that I'm sure Marvel has already reached out to. So when we talk about Tobey Maguire, we talk about him within the MCU. I will never forget my theater No Way Home experience. I will never forget the excitement and speculation building up to No Way Home. I will never forget that. That was such an amazing time. It was. I haven't felt like that in the MCU since that. I haven't felt that way in the MCU since No Way Home. So when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire showed up within my theater, and it seems like almost everyone's theaters from all the footage we saw, my theater went insane, bro. Like, everybody stood up. I stood up. I was clapping, especially when Andrew showed up. Like, it was a huge, nostalgic, I will never forget it moment. Like, I love when the MCU can give us moments like that, and that was great. But with all of that magical experience and everything going on, it looks like Tobey Maguire wants to continue that magic, and he wants to come back to the MCU. And this is what he's had to say about it. This is coming from the Direct. The Direct said, new comments from Spider-Man No Way Home's Tobey Maguire led to new speculations about the actor's potential cameo in Avengers Secret Wars. Following Maguire's role in the MCU, Spidey threequel, the original web slinger showed no interest in hanging up the mask again. While roles in Sony's Spider-Man universe and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, particularly Beyond the Spider-Verse, are still possible, the actor's latest comments are further evidence on his possible Avengers 6 presence. Then it goes on to say, in talking with Marvel, Tobey Maguire expressed his interest in continuing to play Spider-Man on screen after appearing in Spider-Man's No Way Home, asking, why wouldn't I want to do that? According to Maguire, he's a fan of these films and all the different series, and if he was asked to do a Spider-Man thing, it would be a yes. And this is Tobey Maguire saying, I love these films and I love all of the different series. If these guys called me and said, would you want to show up tonight to hang out and goof around, or would you show up to do this movie or read scenes or do a Spider-Man thing? It would be yes, because why wouldn't I want to do that? Late last year, rumors arose that Marvel Studios is looking to book as many multiversal heavy hitters as they can for Avengers Secret Wars, including Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Tobey Maguire's Spidey, and so on. Naturally, Maguire's new comments sparked firestorm of reactions and speculation about how exactly the webhead could show up in Secret Wars. And this is people just on Twitter saying, him and Hugh Jackman in Secret Wars team up, please. Someone else said, he will be in Secret Wars, I hope so. Statements like this speak for it. Someone else said, since I was a kid, I always wanted a movie with him, Eric Banon's Hulk. In my mind, they were all on the same Earth. Would have been dope to see them together in Secret Wars. Someone else said, no way he ever does a solo film again, but possibly he could show up at Secret Wars. I wouldn't say no way, honestly. Someone else said, I'll see you in Secret Wars, Maguire. Someone else said, RDJ, Hugh, Tobey taking on Kang in Secret Wars. Then the last part it has here, it says, while the actor didn't name Marvel Studios or reference Avengers Secret Wars, well, yeah, NDAs, in his comments, it's worth noting that he is talking to Marvel in this interview and claims to be a fan of these films and all the series. The MCU has an ever-growing number of series on Disney Plus. Sony Sony in its Spider-Man universe does not. Avengers Secret Wars is the next most obvious choice for where he could appear, and its multiversal story involving different timelines and universes. If those rumors are true, it's possible that Marvel Studios and Sony already have Tobey Maguire committed to Avengers 6, but the real question is whether Maguire has signed on to do anything prior. While the Sony and Marvel Studios share Spider-Man relationship often complicates these opportunities, the actor did reference his willingness to show up to do movies or read scenes. If it's possible, is it possible that he already has? For now, only time will tell, but the fact that Maguire is eager to continue playing the web slinger is fantastic news for Spider-Man fans and suggests that his No Way Home role won't be his last. It's definitely not his last. We talked about that immediately after No Way Home. Immediately after No Way Home, the speculation and the rumor mill started going that he and Andrew Garfield would be returning for Secret Wars, Kang Dynasty, and etc. And a year ago as of yesterday, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland all sat down with Deadline, and they talked about No Way Home, and Tobey Maguire even expressed how he loved working with Marvel then. So I feel like him working with Marvel and the experience he had with the MCU opposed to the experience he had with Sony and things like that, I feel like that made him even more eager to work with Marvel and whatever it is they're doing for the MCU. This is what Tobey had to say almost a year ago when he was talking about No Way Home. So I'll play this clip here so you guys can see that and just kind of reflect back on what he had to say to Deadline.
Tobey and Andrew come in, that audience reaction was like nothing I've experienced in a long time, and especially now in the age of COVID, it's so great. This movie seems so needed to restore our faith in movies and the movie-going experience. Tobey and Andrew, I have to ask you though, how did you get involved? I mean, when they came to you, I can't imagine, Tobey, they said, "Oh, we want you to do Spider-Man again." What was it?
I went and had a meeting with Amy and Kevin, Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige, and had talked about, they sort of just, teased it. I think Amy was like, "We'd love to talk to you, and you know what this is about." And I was like, "Okay, sure. Let's have a chat." And
I think with Amy, you're like, "No, I don't, Amy, no."
Yeah, no, I know. I was like, maybe you could just give me a little bit of information. But I don't know. I gotta say, I was intrigued immediately. Like in that conversation, the intention, the kind of love and celebration of these movies and what it meant, I think, to Amy and Kevin was apparent. And to me, when artists or people who are steering the creative process have a kind of authentic, genuine intent of celebration and love, it just was so apparent in both of them that I don't know, I just wanted to join that. And I'm a big fan of Tom and those movies and Andrew, so it was definitely intriguing. But yes, I was also going, well, what are we going to do? And that was a bit mysterious. I did appreciate what was shared, but it was really about getting together with these people and revisiting, what was part of my history and getting a chance to like come together. And there are personal things too, which are kind of resolutions or a way to revisit and I'm not quite sure how to put it. It's just to get back into that, and I don't want to say like close the chapter, but revisit and have certain resolutions.
Pay attention to the wording. Pay attention to the wording.
This, like, loving creative spirit.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the wording. What he just said there at the end. He said, "I don't want to say close the chapter because the chapter is not closed." Tobey Maguire knew that. Andrew Garfield knew that. Tom Holland knew that when Amy Pascal, Marvel Studios, and Sony reached out to them to come back for No Way Home. I'm sure it was laid out for them. This is what we want to do, not just for No Way Home, but this is what we want to do for the future. This is what we want to do for Secret Wars. This is what we want to do for Kang Dynasty. We need you guys back for this XYZ, etc., etc., etc. And we don't even know if they're going to show up. You know, the rumor is they're going to show up in Across the Spider-Verse or some of the Beyond the Spider-Verse stuff. If that is even true, then, you know, maybe they've even signed on for stuff for that. But I feel like Tobey Maguire is way more opening to working with the MCU, working with Amy Pascal when she's working with the MCU, working with Kevin Feige and things like that, just because of the positive experience, just listening to him talk about it there, the positive experience that he had working on No Way Home, you know, all the fun he had working on No Way Home, and also for, you know, the not so well-received Spider-Man 3, Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3, that Sony forced Sam Raimi to change and do the things that were done in Spider-Man 3. Now, and on top of that, he never got to do his Spider-Man 4 film that was going to have John Malkovich as the Vulture. And I am going to show something from that here in just a second, but we would have gotten to see that as well. And we've even seen the concept art that I'm going to show here in a second from that would have been great. And then at the beginning of this month, I want to go over this too. When Tobey just said, I don't want to say close the chapter. If you guys remember, at the beginning of this month, we talked about, like, I think it was like the 4th or the 3rd of this month. We talked about the rumor that was going around from the mods also that said, I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. We were hearing the rumor that Tobey Maguire is not just a cameo, but that he is a main character in Secret Wars. Also, Andrew Garfield, Hugh Jackman, and Robert Downey Jr. will not just be cameos in Secret Wars, they will also be main characters. Obviously taking the main character word kind of loosely, but you get the gist there. They're going to be mainstays in that movie. They're not just popping in and popping out. It's not going to be like a No Way Home thing when Andrew and Tobey popped in for the last 25, 30 minutes. It's not going to be something like that. They are going to be kind of main characters, a part of the film. That's just what we're hearing. Again, take it with a massive grain of salt. But then the last thing that I will say before I show this here is take this also however you want to take it. I won't even say take this with a massive grain of salt. I'll say take it however you want to take it. My Time to Shine Hello tweeted out this morning. Again, we talked about it earlier. She tweeted out, ask me anything. And one of the questions asked was, when are we going to see Spider-Man again? To where she replied, the only appearance Tom Holland's Spidey will make in the MCU at the moment is in his Spider-Man films and the Avengers films. So let's take ourselves back here a little bit. You remember Spider-Man was also rumored to be in Daredevil Born Again, and the events of Daredevil Born Again were supposed to bleed into Spider-Man 4. Now that's not meaning just because Spider-Man's not in Daredevil Born Again that the events of that series can't still bleed into Spider-Man 4. You can't still have Daredevil and Kingpin a part of that whole thing going on in Spider-Man 4. That still does mean that could possibly happen. It just means Sony's not wanting to play nice enough to let Spider-Man show up in Daredevil Born Again. Now, I don't know that for a fact. I'm just assuming Sony is going to Sony. So I'm not really sure. So don't take my word for that. I'm just saying typically Sony and Marvel's relationship, even though it is a little bit better, it's not something we typically see them playing nice with Marvel like that, unless they're talking that money stuff. So take that however you want to take it. That is what My Time to Shine Hello did tweet out, that don't expect to see Spider-Man or Tom Holland's Spider-Man showing up in anything outside of his solo films and Avengers. But I will show this here. I don't know if everybody's seen this or privy to this or not, but this is the Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 that was going to have John Malkovich as Vulture. This is some of the art put together in a type of flip script type deal, where you can kind of see that this was going to be a pretty good fucking film. Let's just put it that way. And I don't know if everybody has seen this. It's a little old, but still, I wanted to show it. And I thought, honestly, John Malkovich was going to be a great Vulture. I don't know why we've been getting so many behind-the-scenes looks and things of what Spider-Man 4 would have been. I have my own speculations on that, but again, we'll have to wait to see. But we've been getting a lot of looks at what Spider-Man 4 would have been had Sony not scrapped the project. So we even got a behind-the-scenes look of what John Malkovich's Vulture suit was going to look like. It was so dope. It was nothing like the MCU's Vulture or anything like that. It was so dope. So it would have been really cool to see this. The beginning of this film was going to start with a montage of Spider-Man busting other villains. So we were going to see him busting Mysterio. We were going to see him busting some other street level villains and bringing them into the cops and things like that. That's how the film was going to start, just with a montage of Spider-Man bringing in various different villains into the police and things like that. And this is all in the concept art. You can go look at all of that. It's all in the concept art. It was going to be really dope. So when they say, when the direct says that they don't see Tobey Maguire possibly coming back for any solo films, I would honestly disagree with that. One, money fucking talks. Not only does money talk, Spider-Man puts asses in the seats. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that they've given any evidence or inklings or anything like that toward a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, but why show all of this behind the scenes stuff? Now, this is not new. This is not like new like that. But why are the direct has been talking, not just the direct, other trades and things have been talking so much about what would have been Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4. Now, granted, they could just be talking about it, but I tend to not believe that they're just talking about Spider-Man 4 and what it would have been, what it could have been, without there being some type of whispers about maybe Tobey doing a Spider-Man 4, maybe even the whole stuff with Andrew doing TASM 3, because they both, to me, deserve those films. I would love to see a TASM 3, obviously more than anything else. I would love to see a TASM 3, but I would really like to see, maybe not done exactly like this because Tobey is older, his Spider-Man is older, maybe do this whole thing with John Malkovich as the Vulture, but have him still be the villain, but show it to where, kind of like a Spider-Man No More type of deal, where Spider-Man is a little older. He's got his daughter. We know from No Way Home that he is married to MJ and things like that. We could be seeing some things like that take place within a Spider-Man 4 type of deal. I thought it would have been really dope. I think it could have been dope, bro. And again, Spider-Man 4 would have been dope because this concept art, this flip book, it is that, bruh. It's that. So yeah, that's it right there. I thought that was dope. I think that Tobey Maguire talking about coming back, he already knows he's coming back. We all already know that Tobey Maguire is coming back. If they say they're not or say anything like that, as I've mentioned before, Andrew Garfield has made it extremely difficult to believe any of these actors or actresses. But again, they have NDAs. They can't say these things. But at the end of the day, I can tell you that Andrew Garfield will be back. Tobey Maguire will be back. And we know Hugh Jackman's coming back. And we also know that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. A lot of these guys are going to come back. But as always, question is for you guys. Let me know down below what you guys are thinking about what Tobey Maguire had to say here as far as about him wanting to come back as Spider-Man, him saying that if these guys over here ask me to come back, the answer is going to be yes, and all the things that he had to say after No Way Home about just giving Marvel praise, giving Tom his praise, and wanting to work with those guys again. So again, let me know down below in the comments if you think we're going to see Tobey Maguire again. Do you think we could possibly even get a solo film with Tobey again, and what that could possibly look like? Let me know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking.
Okay, who here hasn't been to space?
Why?
You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
This news is coming from Jeff Snyder. Where Jeff Snyder has been on a roll here lately when it comes to the scoops he has and the big news that he's been dropping. He's now come out and said that Ryan Gosling is being eyed for the Fantastic Four. Now, this is interesting because It's interesting and however not uncommon though, because Marvel discusses several roles with their actors and actresses that they're looking at. They discuss several different characters throughout their cinematic universe that they could possibly be playing or want them to play. And just from the rumors leaked surrounding Ryan Gosling joining the MCU, we know that he was attached to possibly be portraying Wonder Man, which we know that's not happening now. He was even in talks and rumored to be Doctor Doom, rumored to be Sentry, rumored to be Nova, and we actually thought he was going to be Sentry in Thunderbolts, so I don't know if that's off the table or whatever it is, but that was also one of the rumors. And question is he actually having these conversations with Marvel about these different bigger roles and things like that? And the even bigger question, like I put in the poll, is can you see him as Reed Richards? I mean, no. I guess no. I can't see I can't see Ryan Gosling as Reed Richards, because I'm trying to think of roles Ryan Gosling has played where he's like this intelligent figure like Reed Richards. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I just haven't. I'm thinking of past things Ryan Gosling has done. I just can't see it. But again, maybe you can. Can you even see him as Johnny? Do you see him as Johnny Storm? And if so, you know, I mean, no, I don't even see him as Johnny. I don't know. I think I could see him more as Johnny than I could as Reed, but honestly, he's not my first choice for either. But the Direct did have a article that they put out about it, and this is what they had to say. As Marvel Studios looks to cast the leading quartet of actors for Fantastic Four in the MCU, a new rumor further suggests that fan favorite Ryan Gosling is on the studio's radar. Gosling has been rumored to join the MCU for a long time, with potential roles ranging between characters like Nova and Sentry as the franchise expands further into the multiversal saga. Then it goes on to say the Oscar-nominated star has been quick to debunk those rumors, although he shared aspirations to join the franchise at some point, specifically mentioning Ghost Rider as a character he'd love to play. I forgot he did mention that he wanted to play Ghost Rider. Meanwhile, Marvel Studios has plenty of work to do casting for multiple projects in Phase 5 and Phase 6, most notably the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot, due to the excitement building for Marvel's first family to finally enter the MCU. Casting ideas for Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, I got Ghost Rider on the mind. Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm have become wildly popular over the last few years. Now, if one recent rumor proves to be true, Gosling himself may have a good chance at nabbing one of those highly discussed roles. Then it goes on to say, speaking on the Hot Mic podcast, love them. Again, that's Jeff Snyder. Insider Jeff Snyder shared a rumor that Ryan Gosling is reportedly in line for a role in Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four. Snyder briefly shared that he had heard some rumblings about Gosling in the mix for the 2025 movie, although he didn't specify which role. This comes after a different rumor indicating he was in the running to play MCU's Sentry, a character that's reportedly set to appear as the antagonist in the Thunderbolts. And then it goes on to say, who could Gosling play in Fantastic Four? It says signing somebody of Ryan Gosling's caliber would be a huge get for the MCU, no matter what role he may be rumored for the Fantastic Four. But now the real question moves to who he would actually play in the movie, with a couple of key characters sticking out. What? Okay. Gosling certainly has a status and the acting chops to play the leading role of Reed Richards, who will be one of the MCU's most important leading characters in the multiversal saga and beyond. While rumors have teased what Kylo Ren. While rumors have teased that Kylo Ren actor Adam Driver is at the top of Marvel's wish list to play Mr. Fantastic, Gosling would be far from a disappointing second option should Driver not work out. Even more intriguing is the idea of Gosling potentially playing a character for whom Marvel reportedly has big plans, Silver Surfer. The Herald of Galactus is rumored to be in line for his own special presentation on Disney Plus, introducing this widely powerful hero before the Fantastic Four take their place in the MCU narrative. This would allow Gosling to keep his own thing in the streaming to keep his own thing in the streaming sphere before making his way into the big screen movie for Marvel Studios. And it would give him a chance to play a character that many are anxious to see fight alongside the Avengers and other MCU standouts. This last thing it says here, with Fantastic Four still not set to come to theaters for more than 2 years, it may be some time before Gosling is announced for the movie, which would only be the case if the rumors turn out to be true. But should it come to fruition, it would only make the movie that much more of a hot ticket as the quarterlet looks to plant their flag next to Marvel Studios' top names. Fantastic Four is set to arrive in theaters February 14th, 2025. Then it goes on here to say even more about what we're getting with that. Like I said, now, this right here, I'm going to show you this tweet. These tweets are coming from Jason over at Great Phase. And this is Jason Kane, who is connected with Great Phase. And this is what he had to say in connection to the Fantastic Four. Ember is another credible insider that we talk about over here. She put some things out about the Fantastic Four. She put the Fantastic Four logo GIF on her. She tweeted that out, and then Jason from Great Phase quote retweeted it and said, "Fantastic Four are from the present day." Now she tweeted that, and she tweeted the picture she tweeted, the GIF she tweeted. She captioned it 1960s, to where Jason replied, "F4 are from present day MCU. All revolves around Fantastic Four experimenting with the time travel tech from Endgame. They end up getting stuck in the 60s for a year already. Already and practiced in their powers. Movie starts as they make it back to present day." So let's just read that one more time. Fantastic Four are from present day MCU. All revolves around Fantastic Four experimenting with time travel tech from Endgame. They end up getting stuck in the 60s for a year and are already practiced in their powers. Movie starts as they make it back to present day. He then was asked the question, was wondering how Doom was going to fit into everything if this wasn't the case, but this makes more sense. To where Jason from Great Phase replies, "Doom has no major presence in this movie." And that's not surprising, because we've known about that also for a while, that Doom was not going to be showing up in this film. To where he was then asked, if they are going to come back to present day in the beginning of the movie, why the fuck the 60s shit? To where Great Phase just simply replied with a gif of Kang saying time. I love that how he replied to that. He then replied to his own tweet and said the tweet about how the Fantastic Four are going to be experimenting with the time travel tech from Endgame. He goes on to quote retweet his own tweet and answer to say, "This below is me more piecing it together rather than actual fact. At some point after Endgame, Reed and Co. got their hands on some of the time travel tech. They probably mess up and get powers as they test it and get stuck in the 60s. So that is what's that's what's coming from Great Phase there. And then it says, so I'm just wondering, with the Fantastic Four film taking place in the 60s, that's something we've heard rumored for a while. I mean, even Ant-Man director Peyton Reed came out and said that was the concept that he wanted to do had he gotten to direct. I think he is directing. No, Matt Shackman is directing the Fantastic Four. So with him, if he would have gotten to direct the Fantastic Four, that's what he would have done. That's the concept he wanted to do. But Jason says they're from the present day. And if they're from the present day, I guess I'm just wondering, where the fuck have they been this entire time? If they're from the present day, why have they not been here? Because you can't use the whole Eternals thing. You can't say, well, Arishem didn't want us involved. The Celestials didn't want us involved unless it was directly dealing with deviants. When you say the Fantastic Four have been here in its present day, now, again, been here does not necessarily mean that they had their powers during the events of Endgame. Because Great Phase is kind of suggesting that they get their powers experimenting with the time travel tech from Endgame. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they had their powers during the events of the Infinity Saga. But if they did, this is what comes to mind for me. I always think of the Tobey Maguire meme of him during the Endgame fight. I find this shit so funny because it's like if they were here this entire time and all this shit in the MCU was going on, was this the approach they were taking? Was this the approach they were fucking taking? Like, oh shit, that's not my motherfucking business. Like, I love that fucking meme. This shit is so funny. It was like, that's not my business. I'm not getting involved in any of that shit that's going on. But that, again, that is a question of that I bring up is, if they did have their powers, again, Great Phase is not suggesting that they had their powers, but if they did have their powers during the Infinity Saga, where the fuck were they? Why were they not here? Let's also talk about Michael Waldron's deleted post-credit scene that he wanted to use at the end of Multiverse of Madness. At the end of Multiverse of Madness, the post-credit scene that he had taken out of the film dealt with the Fantastic Four. It dealt with Reed Richards. It was going to show Wanda taking out the Illuminati from 838, but then you were going to see a stretchy arm reach out, rewind those events, and then reach back. The camera was going to pan Reed Richards. I thought that would have been fucking mind-blowing, but again, so with Michael Waldron doing that, now that doesn't necessarily mean that they have their powers. If that post-credit scene would have been there, that would have suggested that they had their powers within already within the MCU. Now, Michael Waldron deleting that, does that then mean that deletes the possibilities that the Fantastic Four could already be established within the MCU, but not just established as Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben, but established as Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and the Thing? That's, is that a thing? But I really don't know with that. That's just something that Michael Waldron had put in the film that they ultimately taken out, that got taken out of the film. And then we also know that from the comments from Kevin Feige, where he said that this isn't going to be an origin story. So we know that this is not going to be an origin story for the Fantastic Four. It's also interesting that they're in present day. I don't know really what to make of that. I really don't. We have to see more and know more about what that means as far as them being, around during all those events. So my question then becomes, if they were here during the present day, did they get stuck in the 60s? And I mean, that's what Jason's saying, that they get stuck in the 60s, possibly after experimenting with the time travel tech from Endgame. But so is a Kang variant in the 60s? Is it possibly because Victor Timely goes back to the year 1901 in Marvel Comics. Now, obviously, the MCU being the MCU, they can change whatever the fuck they want to change, as they done, i.e. T'Challa. They can change and do whatever they want to do. So, could we see like a variant of Kang in the 60s, with the Fantastic Four, or fighting against the Fantastic Four or anything like that, then brought into present day? Because he said the film is going to take place during present day. So I don't know how that's going to work. And then, from what we've heard too, we talked about this a few days ago, Jeff Loveness talking about how the deep dive he took into Kang's comics and things like that. So with that being known, with the multiversal stuff and all the other Kang variants showing up, it's a possibility that we could see a variant of some type of variant of Kang as the villain in Fantastic Four, instead of a Mole Man, instead of Doctor Doom, instead of another villain that's in the Deep Rogues Gallery for the Fantastic Four. We could be seeing it just be Kang, pushing us forward toward Kang Dynasty, pushing us forward towards Secret Wars, and staying in line with what's currently going on in the MCU. That could be what we see. We also know that, like I said, Victor Timely rumored to be coming in, and that could be one of the things that they do. And the last thing I'll say here is, if you remember, take yourself back to Far From Home. This was a theory that a lot of people had. A lot of people think that in the MCU right now, because we don't know what has happened to Avengers Tower, we don't know who's purchased it. We don't know if a Kang variant has purchased it, because we saw in Loki episode 5, you see a version of the Avengers Tower, but it doesn't have the A. It says something else. The words are cut off though, but the word is cut in half. So suggesting that the tower was purchased by someone else. But a lot of people after Far From Home, after that ended, had a theory that Avengers Tower is now the Baxter Building, and that the Baxter Building had been purchased obviously by the Fantastic Four and things like that, blah blah blah, because if you take yourself again back to Far From Home, once Peter swings through what people are thinking is the Baxter building, that opening there, when I'm trying to remember how that goes. There's that construction site stuff. There's all that construction. And on the construction, it says 1, 2, 3, and then the 4 is invisible or fading. I think it's invisible, but I think it's fading. Or it's either fading or invisible. I don't really remember. But and a lot of people are saying, is that suggesting or leading, or is that an Easter egg for the Fantastic Four? I haven't heard anything about that since, but that was a rumor, or that was a theory a lot of people had around the Far From Home days. But that is kind of what's going on there with the Fantastic Four right now. That's what Jason from Great Phase is saying. He's saying that it's going to be a present day film, that they're going to be from present day, and they're just going to be misplaced in the 60s and things like that. We've got the rumors of Ryan Gosling joining the team, or possibly being one of the members of the Fantastic Four, being Reed or being Johnny, or something like that, or maybe even Ben. I don't see him being Ben, but hey, I don't know. I really don't know. But as always, I will leave it up to you guys. Let me know down below, because the question is for you. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking about some of the newest statements being brought up here about the Fantastic Four coming from Jason Kane over at Great Phase. The newest reports coming from the Direct about Ryan Gosling possibly being eyed as one of the Fantastic Four members to play one of the members in the MCU. Let me know all these questions and things that you guys have down below.